This is Africa. If you glance to the south, you'll see greenery on the map, which represents the vast expanses of the African savanna. But when you get to the north, everything is different. It is the biggest desert in the world, covering 10 countries, comprising of almost 9 million square kilometers, which is large enough to engulf Spain 18 times, or nearly the size of the United States. It is one of the world's harshest ecosystems. However, beneath the yellowish-red mass of the sandy expanse are mysteries that are still being discovered as modern science improves, and some of them are scary, to say the least. What are these terrifying discoveries? And what exactly is going on underneath the world's most inhospitable place? When you think about the Sahara, pictures of immense sand dunes, camel caravans traveling over sandbanks, and complete solitude come to mind. The gorgeous golden ridges seem to have always been there, yet this is not the case. Although it is hard to imagine, the parched desert was once covered with a dense green carpet, with whole towns and domestic animals grazing. While now there is almost nothing but scorching sand, earlier lakes and lush meadows were present in the same place that we see today as a barren expanse. Rainfall was so abundant that it nourished the Tamanrasset River, which flowed its water to the Atlantic Ocean over the lush Sahara. The river was more than 500 kilometers, 311 miles long, and had several tributaries. In 2015, it would have been included on the list of the world's biggest rivers. The largest ancient river was found thanks to three-dimensional satellite pictures. In Central Africa, there was a lake called Lake Mega Chad, which is now almost completely gone, leaving only Lake Chad. In ancient times, this lake was wider than the Caspian Sea and extended for nearly 300,000 square kilometers. Scientists were able to see the smooth edges of the ancient river channels that were buried beneath the present-day desert thanks to these images. The lake would be by far the biggest lake in the world if it were still in existence today. In NASA's photographs, the lake is permanently visible in a desert environment, serving as a quiet memorial to all those who helped contribute to the emptying of the once deep water reservoir. The fundamental driver of climate change for 1/3 of the African continent, according to environmental archaeologist David Wright, is cattle, since they trampled and ate the native flora. Scientists have many other theories as well. As the soil grew more exposed, more sunlight was reflected, changing the atmosphere. The beginning of the end was marked by a drop in precipitation and the onset of the droughts. This cannot, however, rule out the idea that cattle ranchers sped up the process that was already underway to kill the vegetation. On the other hand, in 2018, another group of experts put forward the theory that ancient herders extended the blossoming of the Green Sahara by an additional 500 years. Seasonal cattle drives and selective grazing, according to one of the study's authors, assisted humans in preserving a green cover for an additional 500 years. They have known for about 2,000 years that when the tilt of the Earth's axis changes, altering how sunlight is distributed throughout the year, the climate of the Sahara and North Africa changes from humid to dry every 20,000 years. When there is more solar radiation, the monsoons are more active, and there is more summertime precipitation. When there is less sunlight, the monsoons are less active, and a humid environment turns into a drought. If this is true, the Sahara would theoretically bloom again, and animals would graze after 10,000 years. But the gorgeous desert conceals many more secrets from us, in addition to the invisible river and the ghost lake. Earlier in the Mesozoic era, it appears that an ocean divided the ancient continent of Gondwana. After the continent split due to plate movements, it appears that a whale cemetery was still visible on the sand surface. The name Wadi el-Hitan, which means Valley of the Whales in Arabic, is currently used to describe this region. The fact that the ancestors of modern whales had small hind limbs and sharp teeth may surprise you. The ancestors of the whales were massive creatures, reaching a length of up to 21 meters at 69 feet. They were most likely the greatest predators of their day. Imagine how shocked the scientists must have been to find ancient whale skeletons in the scorching desert in the early 20th century. However, since the ridges of the Sahara hide additional mysteries, everything turned out to be much more interesting. These predatory whales from the past apparently hunted alongside dinosaurs. Under the enormous desert sands, in 2018, the remains of one of the biggest dinosaurs were found. The newly discovered species of dinosaur was also found to be quite similar to its European equivalent from the late Cretaceous period, which lived around 166 million years ago. This finding suggests that the dinosaur originated in modern-day Europe and traveled to Africa. Well, how is this feasible, though? Previously, scientists were persuaded that ancient giants could not migrate across continents after they'd split apart. But this surprising finding disproved such beliefs. The Richat structure, often referred to as the Eye of the Sahara, is a collection of enormous concentric rings with a circumference of around 50 kilometers, 31 miles. It is one of the world's greatest mysteries and is situated in Mauritius. Scientists have been attempting to determine the nature of this object ever since it was seen in 1965 by the human spacecraft Gemini 4. Is this the spot where an old meteorite collided? If this is the case, why was the crater never discovered? Why have no signs of the impact been found? And why are volcanic materials entirely missing if this is the mouth of an old volcano that has been eroding inwards for millions of years, as some scientists speculate? Fantastic hypotheses have been put out about this being an extraterrestrial landing site, or the site of the famous ancient metropolis of Atlantis. But the majority of experts are inclined to think that the building was created by erosion. However, because of how uniform and regular the ring's creation is, this is far from a perfect theory. Erosion has never been able to produce something like this anywhere else on Earth. The desert also conceals secrets about the cities and whole civilizations buried under its dunes, signs of which are infrequently found by archaeologists and recorded by satellites. Once upon a time, this area was teeming with life. Several farms were ready for harvest and cattle grazed in the meadows. Fish splashed in the rivers, and wild animals prowled the area in search of prey. But now, everything has changed. Everyone who attempts to go over the vast Sahara Desert will experience the might of the searing sun, sandstorms, and other arid weather conditions. Who knows, maybe the biggest secret of the Sahara is still hidden beyond the searing dunes, carefully hidden from view by the desert. What do you suppose it may be?